How quickly can the dream of an NHL roster spot turn into a fleeting mirage, a cruel twist of fate in the relentless, unforgiving world of professional hockey? Tonight, we're peeling back the layers of a truly bewildering development within the Edmonton Oilers organization. A move that has left many scratching their heads and wondering about the true cost of cap space and the cutthroat nature of chasing a championship. We're talking about a player barely settled into his new locker room, whose name has shockingly surfaced in trade rumors, a stark reminder that in the NHL, even the ink on a fresh contract can dry before you've truly found your footing. The Edmonton Oilers, a franchise perpetually under the microscope, a team with championship aspirations fueled by two of the game's most electrifying talents, yet consistently grappling with the intricate, often brutal, dance of roster management and salary cap gymnastics. It's a high-wire act, a delicate balance between acquiring the necessary pieces and staying compliant with the league's financial constraints. And as the Oilers roster begins its anticipated return to full health, the whispers of potential trades have escalated into a full-blown roar, forcing the team to confront some incredibly tough decisions. This isn't just about shuffling the deck. It's about making calculated, sometimes cold, choices that impact careers and lives. We've grown accustomed to seeing familiar names pop up in trade chatter, the veterans on expiring deals, the prospects who haven't quite panned out, the depth players who might be deemed expendable. But this week, a name has emerged from the rumor mill that has truly raised eyebrows, a name that has injected a fresh wave of surprise and, dare we say, a touch of bewilderment into the Oilers' ongoing roster saga: David Tomasek. Now, if that name doesn't immediately ring a bell, you're not alone. Tomasek is a relatively new face in the Oilers organization, a player they just recently signed as an undrafted free agent over the summer. The expectation was that he would be given a legitimate opportunity to prove himself, to carve out a niche within a team desperate for depth and versatility. He was seen as a low-risk, potentially high-reward signing, a fresh set of eyes and hands to inject some new energy into the bottom six. Yet here we are, barely a few months into his tenure, and his name is already being bandied about as a potential trade chip. The esteemed David Pagnotta of the fourth period, a journalist with his finger firmly on the pulse of league-wide transactions, was the one who dropped the bombshell. He noted that alongside more predictable candidates like Matthias Janmark, Ty Emberson, and Troy Stecher, players whose inclusion in trade talks makes a certain amount of logical sense given the Oilers' depth and cap situation, Tomasek's name was explicitly mentioned as a player who could be moved to free up precious cap space. The other three, you can understand, there simply isn't room for everyone, and the Oilers undoubtedly view other players as higher on their internal depth chart. But Tomasek, a player they just invested in, a player they were actively trying to integrate into their system, it's a head-scratcher to say the least. The team had been giving him looks, providing him with opportunities that many undrafted free agents only dream of. He saw time on the power play, a coveted role, usually reserved for offensive specialists, and even skated in the top 9 for several games. These weren't mere token appearances. These were genuine auditions, chances for Tomasek to showcase his skills and solidify his place. He wasn't a regular in the lineup, no, but he was certainly on the radar, a player the coaching staff was actively evaluating. So what changed? What could possibly explain such a rapid pivot on a player who was, by all accounts, given a fair shake? The most plausible and frankly the most brutal explanation lies in the cutthroat competition for ice time and more specifically for power play opportunities. The only real explanation for Tomasek's name appearing in the trade rumor mill is that he's lost out on his power play time to another recent acquisition, Jack Roslovic. Roslovic, also a relatively new face in Edmonton, has immediately clicked with the team's top power play unit. He's found chemistry, he's finishing the chances he's getting, and he's providing the offensive spark that the Oilers desperately need from that critical special teams unit. Tomasek, on the other hand, while getting several looks and opportunities, simply wasn't converting. In the high-stakes world of the NHL, where every shift, every shot, every power play opportunity is scrutinized, production is paramount. And when one player seizes an opportunity with both hands, another often finds himself on the outside, looking in. This isn't a knock on Tomasek's effort or potential, it's a stark illustration of the razor-thin margins that separate players at this level. The Oilers, a team with Stanley Cup aspirations, cannot afford to wait for players to find their scoring touch indefinitely, especially when another option is immediately delivering. And with Tomasek carrying a $1.2 million salary, a figure that might seem modest in the grand scheme of things but becomes significant when every dollar counts, he suddenly becomes a movable piece in the Oilers' ongoing cap puzzle. But is a trade the only option? The Oilers, ever resourceful in their cap management, have another card to play, one that could allow them to free up cap space without losing Tomasek entirely. Because he's a first-year player, David Tomasek is waiver-exempt. This is a crucial detail, a golden ticket that offers the Oilers significant flexibility. It means they could assign him to their AHL affiliate in Bakersfield, effectively getting his $1.2 million cap hit off their main roster, without the risk of another NHL team claiming him off waivers. This would allow them to retain his rights, continue his development in a less pressurized environment, and potentially call him up later in the season if injuries strike, or if he finds his offensive game. This option presents a fascinating dilemma for the Oilers management. Do they cut bait entirely, trading a player they just signed, signaling a quick pivot and perhaps recouping some minor asset in return? Or do they opt for the more patient approach, demoting him to the AHL, preserving his potential value, and giving him more time to adapt to the North American professional game? As the next week unfolds, with the Oilers roster needing to get under the 23-man limit and manage their cap flexibility, this decision will be an intriguing storyline to watch. It's a testament to the constant churn and the relentless pressure to optimize every single roster spot. The Oilers had high hopes for David Tomasek, envisioning him as a potential contributor, a depth piece who could provide energy and perhaps some secondary scoring. But the reality of the NHL, especially for a team with championship ambitions, is that opportunities are earned and they can be lost just as quickly. His inability to consistently produce, particularly on the power play, combined with Roslovic's immediate impact, has seemingly forced the Oilers' hand. The question now becomes, are the Oilers already at a point where they're pivoting on a player they just signed, a pending UFA, who might not even see out the season in the organization? This isn't just about one player. It's about the broader philosophy of a team desperately trying to win now. It highlights the brutal efficiency required in today's NHL, where sentiment often takes a backseat to performance and cap compliance. Every decision, every roster move, is magnified under the intense glare of a fanbase hungry for a Stanley Cup. The Tomasek situation, while seemingly minor in the grand scheme of things, is a microcosm of the Oilers' ongoing struggle to find the perfect balance, to build a cohesive unit that can finally go the distance. So, what do you make of this surprising development? Is it a shrewd, albeit quick, decision by the Oilers to maximize their cap flexibility and roster efficiency? Or does it speak to a deeper issue of player evaluation and a lack of patience within the organization? We want to hear your take. Should the Oilers trade David Tomasek, or is an AHL demotion the smarter play? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis and passionate discussions about the game we all love. Your insights drive our conversation, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say. That was quite the deep dive into the Oilers' roster machinations. It really highlights how quickly things can change for a player in the NHL. Given the constant pressure on teams like the Oilers to win now, do you think this kind of rapid turnover and quick decision-making on new signings is becoming the new normal across the league?